G'day guys, Solaz here, welcome back to the channel. So as you might be aware of, the new season of The Mandalorian has been released I think a week ago, and I absolutely love the soundtrack. So months ago I've started this new format where I flipped the theme song of the movie up into a lo-fi beat. So today I'm gonna be breaking down how I flipped the Mandalorian theme song into a drill beat. Let's do it. Okay guys, so before to start, I do not own the right of this melody of the original piece. It has been composed and produced by the Swedish producer Ludwig Göransson, so all credit to him. I will drop a link in the description, and also all credit to Disney to have released this for The Mandalorian. Okay, let's jump into Ableton. Okay, so we are now in my Ableton session. So as you can see, it's a fairly big session because on this side I've got all my finish beat, all my melodic elements, and then I've got all the MIDI file here and the try that I've done. So I've downloaded all the MIDI file from internet with all the melodies from the original piece, and then it was up to me to select which one I wanted to use. So it took me a bit of time. I think overall this project took me like a week and a half to put together because I had so many ideas. I could go in so many ways. I didn't know what to choose. But at the end, I think I made up my mind and I'm pretty happy with what I've done. So I think I'm gonna break down the project in segments. So we've got the intro. So here we've got the iconic bass recorder that has been used in the original piece. So I've used just a bit of glue compressor just to make it more present, and I've EQ probably some of the low frequencies. Then I've layered down a flute. I think it's just a one shot from, yes, it's a one shot from Splice with a bit of RC20, some reverbs, some EQing and some delay as well, just to complement this first melody. So then yeah, I just had to use the MIDI that I've downloaded from internet. Then I've recorded this melody into an audio and put a lot of reverb so I could make a nice like transient effect. And same for the one above. So if we listen to the both of them together, we've got this. Pretty nice. So then we've got the pianos. So here we've got just some like kind of arpeggio piano just to give a nice rhythm into the production. And this one here. So as you can hear, there is a bit of reverb. There is I think a bit of digital from the RC20, and I'm cutting much of the high and low frequencies. And then we've got the second one here. So the both of them together, they sound like that. They kind of complement each other. So you see the top layer is focused on the high notes and the bottom one is focused on the low notes. So it covers also the frequency spectrum. And then we've got the most interesting part, I will say, which is the chord progression of the piano. Very dark, very powerful. So I'm using the Noir piano from the Contact library. I think if you've watched my video in the past, I've pretty much used this piano for every production that I've done. I just love it, with a bit of RC20 as well, so probably to use some white noise and some reverb. I've got a glue compressor as well. I've got an EQ and an auto filter as well, because I am bringing this piano very nicely As you can see, there's a bit of movement here. I'm getting rid of the high and the low frequency. And as we're progressing into the track, everything comes together. The original melodies, I haven't touched much of that. The only thing that I've done onto the MIDI is just play around with the velocity and also the notes to be kind of offbeat, so it humanize the progression a little bit more. And that's pretty much it. Then I've layered another one shot that play the same top melody. So yeah, just a simple one shot with another RC20, bit of EQ. So I'm just playing around with texture there. And then again, another one shot that just complements everything with a bit of delay. I think it's a triplet delay, so it plays a bit in time as well. I think that was interesting. So if we play all the pianos together, then in the original melody, we've got the iconic guitar, but I didn't put it in the intro. So we've got this guitar. Because it was already super packed with melodic elements, and also on the original MIDI, we've got this sustain note here that is off key, so it kind of clash with the overall production. But I've put it, this melody, the guitar melody, back into the track later that we are going to see. So I haven't put this melody in the intro. So that's pretty much it for the melody. We can jump straight onto the drums, which is mostly percussion. So the Mandalorian, the way I hear it, the original track, for me it sounds very Middle Eastern, very ethnic. So I wanted to keep this vibe and these textures. So I've added a lot of loop and some percussion fills as well, very Middle Eastern, something very live. So we've got this little fillet here. We've got this loop that is very tonal as well, with a bit of delay that is traveling through the stereo field. Then I've got, so this kind of percussion rhythms is in the original production and I wanted to keep it, so I've just recreated. So I've watched one of the videos of Ludwig Göransson when he pretty much explained how he made the track, and so this percussion loop is basically him hitting on a snare. So I've recreated this with a bongo, a djembe, and like a kind of a tom, and I'm filtering everything in as well. So we've got this kind of rhythm. And it's also traveling through the stereo field right and left. And because I'm working with audio, not with MIDI, in order to make my life easier and play with the velocity, because it's impossible to hit, like for example, a snare with the same velocity every time, I've just put a shaper box, a volume shaper, and I've put this curve here. So that's mean they're on different volume every time. So that's an easy way to achieve velocity automation without needing to go in each audio sample and reduce it. So that's pretty much it for that. And then I'm introducing some Kashmir sample here, some percussion samples. Super heavy, super cinematic. It was fitting the context perfectly. And then when we get the full melody of the piano, I'm introducing another percussion loop that come to complement this first hit, so the first phrase pretty much. And here I'm just getting rid of the low frequencies and the high frequencies, so I'm narrowing it down and put a reverb as well, really focus on the mid frequencies. And that is pretty much it for the percussions. Then onto the vocals. So I'm just introducing the vocals at the end. I've got this vocal that I took from the Mandalorian.
This is the way.
What I've done, I've just recorded it with a lot of reverb. So I've created this little transition effect. So that's from the same voice as well. So it just comes at the end of the intro. So then for the effect, I've took the iconic Mandalorian sound effect. And I've just played around throughout the whole track. Then I've had some ambience noises from Cymatic. I think it was fitting the context pretty well. I've got an impact here. Another one, or like an impact ambience. And I've got another here. So nothing too crazy here, is just to kind of feel the production in between the patterns of the melody and also in between the sections as well, like to take the listener into something new, or you know, an effect is coming, something new is coming. And yeah, so pretty much all the effects that I've just talked about are repeating throughout the whole track. And that is pretty much it for the intro. So if we are listening to everything together, we've got this.
The way.
So now next for the transition. So I needed to transition from the intro into the beat. So the original piece is in 166 BPM and in F minor, and I needed to take it down to 140 BPM to make a drill beat. And I also wanted to shift it to a D minor because I think it sounds super dark and aggressive. So I've done something very easy. I've recorded the entire melody of the intro, even with the guitar that I didn't put in. So I've recorded it and basically reversed it. So if you reversed this audio, you've got all the melody that I've done in the intro. And then, so you've got a tempo automation here on my master. As you can see, we're going from 160 to 140 BPM. And so since I've put it on the master, everything is getting affected. And for the key shifting, so for the first half of the sample, nothing is happening. And then on the second half, I'm shifting down 3 semitones here. So we're going from F minor to a D minor. And then for the last bar, I'm doing a drastic shift down. So we've got this tape effect. And so the impact of the next part is gonna be just even more powerful. And that's everything that I have for the melodic part, because it was just a transition. I didn't want to give away too much of what was coming next. For the percussions, we've got the same percussion loop that is getting affected by the tempo shifting as well. Then we've got an impact, I think it's a gong. And we've got another one here, a tambourine. Toward the end of a sample, I've got another percussion loop that I'm fading in toward the next section. So it's acting like a building effect. Very subtle, and then it's building, 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 building. Bam! And then when the next part is coming, it's even more obvious. That's pretty much it for the drums. Then for the vocal, it's the same vocals.
This is the way.
And then at the end of the phrase, I've got the Mandalorian himself.
This is the way, this is the way, this is the way.
With a bit of delay that is traveling through the stereo field. And for the effects, again, the exact same thing. I've just got some bigger ambience transient. But everything is pretty much the same for the transition. So now onto the intro of the beat. So we are now, as we are starting the intro, we are now on 140 BPM, but I just needed to transpose all my melodies from F minor to a D minor. So what I've done for the piano, because I wanted to keep a piano, so since we are in drill, I needed something sustained without too much high frequencies, something pretty slow to let the percussion do the work and also to leave some room for the artist. So what I have done, instead of just taking the full chord progression of the piano and drop it down to a D minor, what I have done, look, I'm gonna consolidate, I am going to consolidate everything here. So it's gonna make more sense. So here we've got the F minor chord progression that I've used into the intro, and this is the chord progression that I've used for the drill beat. So if you take this chord progression, which is in F minor, drop it down 3 semitones, 1, 2, 3, we are now in D minor. But I wanted to do something more interesting. So what I have done, I've just removed first the top melodies, and then so when we've got this, I've pretty much inverting the layout of the chord progression. So the last chord progression is the first chord progression here, the middle chord progression stay in the middle here, and then the first chord progression end up being in the last position here. And I'm pretty much doubling the time as well. So instead of having this, we've got this. And then a little change at the end. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'm just adding some notes in between the chord progression to just make it a little more interesting. So if we listen to the full chord progression, we've got this. Perfect, that's very emotional, very dark, very sustained. There is not too much going on, so it's perfect for drill beats. So that is, that's the melody that I'm introducing into the intro. Then we've got a little violin, just again to give a bit more details about what's going on here, but not to give away too much. And that's all for the melodic elements, yes, absolutely. Then onto the bass, I've just found this like kind of EDM bass that is hitting here and there with a bit of delay as well. I think the texture was interesting and was working pretty well with the context. Then onto the drums. So I'm introducing the kick that I've done myself into kick 2. So we've got this kick here, pretty aggressive. We've got the snare here, classic drill snare. So we've got the pattern, a simple pattern here. Then we've got the percussion here, the percussion fields that we've seen earlier. I'm introducing another percussion loop that's come to complement the one that we've seen earlier. And because they are kind of offbeat, they are working kind of well together. They make room for each other. Then at the end of the phrase, we've got this amazing percussion fill. Just before the drop or the hook, that is working pretty well. Then I'm introducing already the cymbals, so classic drill cymbals. I think I am playing, yes, with the velocity as well here, so nothing too crazy. We've got another percussion that I think is hitting in the same time of the snare as well, so it just comes to complement it. We've got the tambourine that we've seen earlier. And that's pretty much it for the drums and percussions. For the vocals, yes, that's pretty much it, the same vocals. This is the way from the Mandalorian. I'm just introducing some choir. A very Middle Eastern that was fitting the context pretty well. So I'm just playing again with the delay and the right and left panning. And that's pretty much it. And then for the effects, we've seen all the effects already, but everything has been pitched down to an F minor. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the intro. So if we are listening to everything together, we've got this. Ooh, sexy! And now we can jump straight onto the beat. So for the beat, we already know about the piano. I'm bringing back the flute that plays this. But instead of playing the full chord progression, which is dun 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 dun, I'm just playing the first part, dun 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 dun. That's it, and I'm just getting it to follow the chord progression. Pretty nice. Then for the hook, I wanted something a bit more impactful that helped the kick and this first hit. So I've brought some brass here. Again, that's going to follow the same chord progression as the piano. And what I've done, so I've got a bit of RC20 and I've dropped down the stereo to make it like in between mono and stereo, because I didn't want to give too much information into the stereo fill, because it's already pretty full melodic-wise. Then we've seen the violin here. I've got a little another violin effect here. So that both of them together complement each other pretty well. And that is pretty much it for the melody. And then for the second part of the hook, I am introducing the famous guitar. So it was a bit tricky because yes, as you can see, the notes here are off keys, but I think with the overall production, it is working pretty well. So if we are listening to everything together, we've got this. Pretty cool. That's pretty much it for the melodic element. Now into the 808. So for the 808, I'm using an 808 that I have done into a previous video, and you can grab all the 808 that I've done for free. So I'm using, how is it called? The 808 called Rumble. So the pattern goes like that. Pretty aggressive, with a bit of glide. And then I've got another 808 that just play against it at the end of the phrase. It's very like EDM driven. And I've got this. So if we listen to the both of them together, they complement each other pretty well. And then we've got this little EDM bass that we've seen earlier. So that's pretty much it for the 808. Now onto the drums and the percussion, which is pretty full. So we've seen the kick and the snare already. We've seen those percussion. So again, because it was very Middle Eastern driven, I wanted to keep the same vibe and add a lot of percussion. So yeah, it's playing throughout the stereo field as well, and everything has its own place as well, so there is not too much clash. So if we are listening to like all the kick, the snare and all the percussions, everything works pretty well. Then for the hi-hat, I'm introducing another hi-hat here. That just come to complement the first one. Again, yeah, playing into the stereo field as well. We've seen this perk. I've got another perk here. I think, oh, this one is not even playing. So yeah, at the end I just had to make some choice because it was just too crowded. I couldn't put everything. We've got this little perk as well. Just, you know, an ear candy. Another percussion here and the tambourine that we have seen here. Yes, and for the vocals, so we've seen these vocals. I've just cut it in half. So it gives a bit of room for the artist. And then I've had these vocals as well. That is hitting offbeat and some choir as well. So if we listen to all the vocals together, pretty nice. And then for the effects, we've seen it already. It's exactly the same effect. I'm just adding some white noise just to bring or take away the tension as we're moving into the different section of the track. Nothing crazy here. So if we are listening to everything together, we've got our drop. So then we are jumping into a verse or a chorus. I'm not 100% sure because I've just laid down some ideas. This is not a finished product. So for like a chorus or a verse, I just wanted something a little lighter that doesn't hit as hard as the hook. So I've removed the 808 and just add a guitar bass without all the glides. That is just, yes, following the chord progression of the piano, nothing too crazy, pretty light. For the drums, it's just a matter of like adding or taking some elements just to make the track less boring and also to leave some room for the artist. So see on the first part here, I'm removing the kick that I'm introducing later. So yeah, nothing too crazy going on here. For the melodic elements, so pretty much the entire group is getting filtered out. So I'm taking quite a bit of the high frequencies again to leave some room for the artist. And then so when we're going back into a new hook, the change is kind of drastic, so we know, oh yeah, okay, so we are into a different section. So yeah, it's the same piano, but I've removed the bass note, and I'm introducing the top melody that we've seen in the intro. I'm reintroducing the one shot that I've used in the intro as well, just again for some texture. And then I've got the flute as well, but it is dropped down 1 octave down. Again, same thing here, and I'm introducing again the guitar on the second part. For the vocals, it's the same. The vocals pretty much repeat for the whole track, and then the effect is the same. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about this one here. So we've got the Mandalorian sound effect, and I've just duplicated and drop it up. No, sorry, put it up 12 semitones, so 1 octave higher, with a different delay as well that is a little bit faster, again just for some different texture. And that is pretty much it for the verse, and then throughout at the end I'm just doing a volume automation on the entire group, so we've got a nice transition with the percussion fills. So if you listen to everything, we've got this. And we know something big is coming. So if we are listening to everything together, something more lighter. And then we're going into a new hook. Ooh, baby! And that is pretty much it for the whole track. Then I've got another verse and then just a fade out for the end of the track, because again, this is not a finished product. So that's everything for the production. So just before the final listen, what I like to do in my production when I'm kind of happy with a track, like the master is done, the mixing is kind of done, I like to introduce some vocal of an already existing track, which is, by the way, illegal, but I'm not selling it, so it's fine. So for this track, which was a drill beat, I've just downloaded the track called Polemic from Frisco Leon and Central C, because it's a drill beat. If you don't know this track, I really encourage you to go and watch it. The clip, the music, everything is amazing on this track. And so I've just extracted the vocals and put them on the track. So we are just going to listen a little part of it. I hope I'm not gonna get this video taken down. So we are going to listen to the intro and just the first part of the hook. Okay, let's give it a go.
I ain't been fashion week, OT don't see me a catwalk. Give a cat 6 light for the night, I don't know about landlords. If they knew what we did in the band, or one day I might get cancelled. Shit, my shoes tight, I can't step high, no sandals. Got a rock chain and Kango, took me an L, I'm Cool G, I feel like Cool J. I live my movie, I might make a Blu-ray and tell my story.
Oof. I think it's working pretty well. Yeah, I'm really happy with the overall production. And yeah, that's all for me, guys. And that's it, guys, all done for this video. So this track overall took me a good week and a half to put together. So please give me a thumb up, that always helps. I'm not gonna talk too much, let's just hear the result, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is the way.